Hi, I'm April. I am a singer-songwriter and music teacher, and in this video, we are going to be talking about how to know if you're a good songwriter. The first way to tell whether you're a good songwriter is to pay attention to your listening habits. When you listen to a song you love, are you the type of person who pays a lot of attention to the backbeat, or are you more interested in what's happening with the lyrics? The thing that you find yourself paying the most attention to as a listener is likely going to be the same thing that you focus in on when you're writing. So start by noticing what it is that you are paying the most attention to when you listen to music. For me personally, that's the lyrics. And more specifically, I tend to focus on things like getting really vivid, visceral images in my music. And I also focus in a lot on things like sonic connection. So because those are my primary focus, I tend to neglect other things if I'm not paying attention. So what I have to do in order to hold myself accountable and make sure that I am being the best songwriter I can be is to start paying more attention to melody, or paying more attention to focusing in on the plot. So all that to say, you're probably the best at the thing you pay the most attention to. So if that thing is lyrics, start thinking about melody or start thinking about your chord progressions. Paying attention to your listening habits can clue you into the things that you're spending the most energy on in your writing process. And by noticing what that thing is, you can start taking inventory of the other areas where you need to grow. And notice whether those things are coming up in your own songwriting. Try to work on your skills holistically. The second thing you want to pay attention to is whether you're able to write when you're not inspired. One of the most important skills that great songwriters have is discipline, which I know doesn't sound super cute, it's not very sexy, but this is such a crucial skill because if you go a really long stretch of time without being inspired, or you're only inspired at times when it's really inconvenient to write, you're just never gonna write. And I'm sorry to break it to you, but not writing is a really good way to practice not writing. So if right now you're only writing when you're inspired, that's okay. It just means that you really need to work on discipline. It means that you need to be able to start practicing writing anyway. So what I like to do is set aside 5 or 10 minutes every day. Doesn't have to be long, and I would actually set an alarm so that you don't go over at all, even if you want to. And then use either writing prompts or something like a random word generator in order to start jogging yourself for ideas. And no matter what, you just start typing or you put your pen down on paper and you don't lift it up until that alarm goes up. And then take that idea and expand it out into a paragraph. And as you're writing, use really sense-based language, try to incorporate metaphor, and try to think outside of the box of the stuff that you normally write about. I think this exercise is really, really great for coming up with interesting lyric ideas, but if you find that you struggle more on the music side of things, you can also just learn more things on your instrument. And the more stuff that you learn, the more you're gonna have things to play around with. So for instance, if you've been playing a lot of campfire chords on your guitar, try moving those shapes up and down the fretboard to see if you can come up with some really interesting chord extensions that you might not have discovered before. You can also just listen to a bunch of songs that you really like and start picking apart the chord progressions and writing stuff around them. But no matter how you go about it, you're always going to be a better songwriter if you're more consistent. It's way better to write a ton of songs and cherry pick your favorites than to focus on 1 or 2 songs and never actually give yourself the motivation or any reason to expand your horizons. Number 3 is knowing why you do the things you do. What is it that draws you to certain ideas? For instance, if you really like a chord progression, it's a great idea to start thinking about what it is that draws you to that chord progression. You don't necessarily need to know every single music theory concept under the sun, because frankly, there are way too many of them, and it's impossible to know every single little detail. But being able to articulate what you like and why you like it is going to help you a ton in the process of writing and just being the best writer you can be. So take a sec to think about the types of chord progressions that you like, or the things that really stand out to you lyrically, any repeated images that come up in your head a lot, and start to think about what they are and why you use them. This allows you to be more intentional about the things you're writing, and it's going to give you names for all of the things in your toolbox that you can use later on. It'll also allow you to take stuff away when you need to do something different. So point being, let yourself be intentional about the tools you're using, about the techniques you're using, and about why you are making certain decisions in your songwriting. This is going to make you a better songwriter, and it's going to allow you to make decisions about what you do and don't want in your songs going forward. Number 4, and you all knew this was coming, you're able to take feedback. I know firsthand how difficult it is to hear really harsh criticism and to challenge your inner voice. But it's a really important skill to have as a songwriter. Now, this isn't to say that you don't know what's best for your music, but what I do want you to think about is whether you are willing to listen to that feedback and actually take it on board and think about it. And this is easier said than done, but try to divorce yourself from your work. If somebody is insulting your singing voice or your lyrics, or really anything about your songs, remember that that doesn't reflect on you as a person, and that those are all things that are improvable. You can always get better the more that you practice and the more that you work on those things. You are still an awesome person, and I want you to make sure that that doesn't get swayed by the fact that one random person said something mean about your work. Number 5 is sort of similar to our last point, which is that you want to be able to take feedback. But in this specific context, it's taking feedback from yourself. You need to be able to look at your own work, notice what needs to be changed and what you're doing well. Both of those things are really important. And then be able to take that challenge on and actually edit. And if you've gone through the whole process of editing and you feel like your work is at a really good place, go ahead and share it. Start with just a couple of people you trust, and from there, you can just put it on the internet if you want. Just remember to be kind to yourself. Everything you make can be improved with practice or with editing, so no excuses. Keep working at your craft and get better at it with every song that you write. And of course, have fun in the process. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, feel free to let me know in the comments below, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course ring that little bell to be notified the next time I post.